I didn't find classified files. I found documentation for things that hadn't happened yet, written as if they already had. And the moment I realized that they included me, the files started updating in real time. Hello everybody, I'm CC and welcome back to the Crucible of Character, where today we have another great story. If you're excited, please, make sure to hit the like button, and tell me your thoughts down below of what you think at the end. As always, make sure to keep in mind the lesson for today's story, so that you can compare notes with me at the end. And with that, today's story is entitled, I Found Files That Already Knew My Life, and is uploaded to the r/NoSleep subreddit by Cache Overflowed. And it starts like this. I didn't discover anything because I was curious. I discovered it because I was careless. I work in IT support for a mid-sized company, the kind that outsources everything, but still insists on keeping its own servers, for security reasons. My job mostly involves resetting passwords and pretending not to notice when executives store sensitive files in folders labeled things like MISC, or old stuff, or even worse, do not delete, in all caps. The discovery happened during a routine cleanup. One of the servers was throwing errors, index corruption, unreadable disks. Nothing urgent. Just the slow decay of data no one had touched in years. I ran a recovery script designed to reconstruct broken file tables and dump anything salvageable into a temporary directory. Most of it was junk. Old emails, half-finished spreadsheets, scans of receipts. Then, there was a folder that didn't belong to the company. No branding, no internal naming conventions. Just a string of numbers and letters that looked more like a checksum than a directory name. Inside were text files, plain, small, and meticulously dated. I opened the first one, expecting logs. Instead, it was a mistake. Instead, it was a description of my office. Not the building, my specific floor. The position of desks, which lights flickers, the way the AC vent rattled near the break room. The timestamp was from 3 years ago. I scrolled faster, heart steady, but my hands went cold. The next file described a meeting that hadn't happened yet. Casual conversation I'd have with my manager about budget cuts. A joke someone would make that wouldn't land. It was accurate down to the phrasing. I checked the date. It was for tomorrow. I told myself it must have been a coincidence, that someone had written speculative notes, that confirmation bias was doing the heavy lifting. Then I found my name. Not in a list, in a paragraph. Subject displays above average pattern recognition but lacks context. Probability of independent discovery increasing. I didn't finish reading. I copied the folder onto a flash drive and deleted the recovery files, convincing myself that ignorance would undo what curiosity had started. The next day, the meeting happened exactly as described. Same words, same pauses, same failed joke. I laughed when I was supposed to. I nodded when expected. Inside, something was unraveling quietly, thread by thread. That night, I read more. The files weren't predictions. They were observations written ahead of time. They described events not as possibilities, but as confirmations waiting to occur. Human behavior reduced to probabilities that collapsed into certainty, once observed. There were entries marked intervention unnecessary, and others flagged awareness risk. One file was titled with my birth date. It detailed moments from my childhood I never told anyone, thoughts I had never voiced, decisions I believed were spontaneous, broken down into influencing variables I'd never noticed. At the end was a note. Accidental access acknowledged. Monitor response. The server error stopped the next morning. Perfect health, no corruption, no sign the recovery script had ever even run in the first place. I unplugged the flash drive and carried it with me everywhere for a week, like proximity might protect me. Nothing happened during that time. No strange calls, no messages. No one at work acted differently. That was almost worse. Then, the files began to change. Dates updated themselves. New entries appeared without me opening them. Notes referencing my reading speed, my stress levels, my sleep patterns. One line stood out. Subject attempting concealment. Outcome statistically irrelevant. I tried to show the files to someone else. The text wouldn't display for them. It wasn't encrypted, it just showed up as blank. Metadata intact, file size correct, content inaccessible. When I opened them again, a new sentence had been added beneath the one I tried to show. External validation attempt logged. I stopped reading after that. I didn't destroy the files. I didn't know if that was possible. Instead, I put the flash drive in a drawer and pretended the world was still opaque, still uncertain. It mostly works, but sometimes I notice delays, moments where I hesitate before making a choice, as if waiting to see whether it's already been written. Sometimes I catch myself acting in ways I don't remember deciding on, and occasionally when something goes wrong, small things, harmless things, I get the sense that it wasn't an accident, just a correction, because I wasn't supposed to know. And now that I do, I'm being watched. Not to stop me, but to see how closely I follow what was already there. The end. First off, for the analysis, let's get into the psychology. So, we have a character who has stumbled upon a file that contains a lot of information on him, as well as seemingly things into the future that haven't even happened yet, but are kind of determined and written in this file based solely upon probabilities. That's crazy, and it's super scary to think that that might be out there waiting for us. So, what are they thinking? What do you think they're thinking? Well, obviously, just as in the story, at least in my perspective, they're trying to change things. They're trying to prove that, I can't just be summed up in numbers and zeros. I can't. There's no way that my whole life could just be summed up and is all just one probability. Well, if you look large enough based on your circumstances and the environment around you, yeah, I would say that your life truly is kind of a probability like that. Do we as humans have the capability of running those numbers on anyone else or even ourselves? No. Do machines have that capability yet? To my knowledge, no. But it's possible. And I think it goes to and points to a lot towards today's lesson that I pulled out. And that is, just because you came from somewhere doesn't mean you have to end where that beginning pointed you towards. What I'm saying by that is, you can escape your surroundings. Just because you learned certain things as a child, or you were born into or raised in a certain circumstance, doesn't mean that you have to follow the pipeline straight to the end that was kind of, quote, predetermined, unquote. We all are set up for either failure or success, but at the end of the day, we still have to pull the trigger. We still have to go do the things that lead us there. So although some of us have an advantage, and some of us don't, it's still up to you. So I think this story serves as a great reminder to make your own life. Don't live your parents' dreams. Don't live the surroundings around you. Don't live your actions. Live your life. Go where you want to go. Be what you want to be. Do what you want to do. And don't necessarily choose those things based solely upon where you came from and who you were and what you did. If you agree with me, or if you disagree with me, or if you think I can make my videos any better, please let me know down in the comments below. I really appreciate all your support. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and you don't want to miss out on further videos, make sure to subscribe because I am posting every weekday from now on, and you won't want to miss the new ones. Once again, I'm Cece. This has been The Crucible of Character. I love you all, and I'll see you later.